بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. Today's recitation commences from Surah An-Nisa, and just the majority of this surah was recited. Just a few rukus remain, just less than a quarter of a juz, 4 rukus, which inshallah shall be completed tomorrow. In this surah, this is a Madani surah, so as is the norm with all the Madani surahs, the majority of the theme focuses on specific ahkam, specific rules and specific injunctions of Sharia. This surah is called Surah An-Nisa. Nisa means women. The focus of this surah at the beginning is regarding specific ahkam, injunctions regarding how to deal with women. And this surah focuses on the social affairs, domestic affairs, international affairs of the ummah. And it commences with, as I mentioned, the specific of the home, how to deal with women and the injustices which they had to face. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addressed them, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructed the Sahaba kiram radiyallahu ta'ala anhum through the message of the Quran that one should not take advantage of the vulnerability of any particular women and oppress them in any particular way. Rather, an individual should be mindful of the rights that they have upon them. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions specifically orphan young girls, not to oppress them in any way, and to ensure that you give them their right, their financial right, along with their other rights as well. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala thereafter in somewhat detail specifically mentions the ahkam of wiratha and inheritance. And as I've mentioned previously in other durus as well, that this is something which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala emphasizes greatly. And an entire ruku in very great detail has been mentioned. When you look in the Quran, we find ahkam of salat, we find injunctions of zakat, etc. But the details are not found in the Quran, rather the details are found in the ahadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And when we look at this particular mas'ala, then a large majority of the injunctions and rulings are found within the Quran by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. An entire ruku at this moment is devoted to this. Then another ruku is devoted to it later on towards the end of the surah as well. So this is something which we need to be careful and mindful of, that wiratha, inheritance, is something which is extremely important, and one needs to be very, very particular in regards to this mas'ala. After the one thing I'll also like to mention here is that although Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions many rights in regards to women, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this shariat of ours is a very balanced sharia. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا. This ummah of ours is a very balanced ummah, very balanced sharia, and complete i'tidal within our teachings. So unfortunately the situation we have nowadays is that where a time was where there was no rights for women, then Sharia came and gave rights to women. And now we find ourselves, unfortunately, hearing individuals, groups, etc., further championing the rights of women and women empowerment, and a tidal wave of feminism has taken over, not only here, rather the entire globe. And what we need to understand is that the basis of this feminism is to free the woman from any form of responsibilities and from any form of accountability. That is the basic foundation of this. And where she says that she has complete autonomy over her body, it's her body, her choice, my body, my choice, I can do whatever I wish, etc. And the patriarchal system which there is, where the man is considered as the head of the house, the head of the society, and that is seen as unjust, that is seen as something which is archaic, something which is backwards, something which is wrong. But the reality is that this is the system which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has wished, and this is the divine system. Allah specifically mentions this in the Quran further on, الرِّجَالُ قَوَّامُونَ عَلَى النِّسَاءِ. So He mentions all the ahkam regarding women, give them their rights, the rights of the women upon you, etc. Right? And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that, look, but don't forget this, that when you're giving the rights to the women, don't go overboard. الرِّجَالُ قَوَّامُونَ عَلَى النِّسَاءِ. The head of the house remains the man. The head of the house remains the man. And this is something which is a divine system. And for the society to prosper, for the society to not to crumble, this system is necessary. This system is necessary where you need that family unit. Unfortunately, we have individuals now who, because of the you could say the brainwashing or indoctrination of this against the patriarchal system, they feel that no, they don't want to get married, and they don't want to feel that they are subjugated and they are have to, be under the authority of the man, etc. This is completely against nature, and this breaks the fabric of society. So this is one thing which we also need to remember at all times. Moving on from this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so this was the immediate domestic issues. Thereafter Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala moves on to the social issues, the khulasa and the conclusion of which is that mutual love, mutual respect, mutual justice is the foundation for the prosperity of society. And a person needs to be very, very particular in regards to how they deal with other people, whether they are with that individual for a long time, whether they are with that individual for a short time. وَالْجَارِ ذِي الْقُرْبَى وَالْجَارِ الْجُنُوبَ وَالصَّاحِبِ بِالْجَنْبِ وَابْنِ السَّبِيلِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that, look, you have rights, everybody has rights. And it doesn't matter who you are dealing with, you need to ensure that you do not inconvenience anybody in the slightest. This will make your society prosper. And for this, one other point is that you need to be very careful with your words. You are very careful with your words. You use certain words, they are very simple, it gives the same meaning, but the word is not a very decent word. That will also bring the society in such that there will be animosity and some form of hurt and some form of hatred, you could say, amongst each other. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that, look, you need to use the right words. مِنَ الَّذِينَ هَادُوا يُحَرِّفُونَ الْكَلِمَ عَمَّ مَوَاضِعِهِ وَيَقُولُونَ سَمِعْنَا وَأَصَيْنَا. They say that we've used, they say certain words, وَرَاعِنَا, and they're using these words which mean same, but the word used is not the correct word. The word used is not the decent word. For example, you can use, let's say for a very simple example, in English you could say that, when a person uses a language, you could say, for example, I need to go relieve myself. Or a person can use that very same sentence and that same message, but in an indecent way, in a way which is not very pleasant and polite and formal. And he can use other language as well. So one needs to be very careful of this. Well, unfortunately, this is something which is very common amongst the youth, where slang language which is not decent, language which is not appropriate, language which is not polite. And then when you tell them that, what? He says, what? What did I say? And then in that tone as well, isn't it? So one more form. I don't say anything, really. Yeah, basically. That's not how you're supposed to speak. In decent, polite language. Decent, polite language where you understand who you are talking to. Sometimes you have elders, sometimes you have teachers, sometimes you have elders of the community, you have parents, and there's just no tamyiz and no distinction in the way we engage and converse with any of this. The same way we speak to our friends, we speak to our parents, we speak to our teachers, and we just think it's fine because we're just saying the right thing. But no, it's yes, the message is fine, but the words and the tone in which they said, the tone in which it is said makes a difference. It makes a difference. So it is very, this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, that to keep the society polite and loving and compassionate, it is important that words are used in the correct manner as well. Words are used in the correct manner. And thereafter Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, moving on from the social, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now moves on to the international relations. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, look, you need to deal with other countries as well. And the first thing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu khudhu hidrakum. Khudhu hidrakum. The first thing you need to do is ensure that your defense is of a very high degree. Your defense needs to be of a very good standard, such that before any country comes and wishes to invade you, they'll think twice. Your defense needs to be very strong. وَأَعِدُّوا لَهُمْ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُم مِّن قُوَّةٍ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in another ayah that you need to ensure that you've got that power, that military might, that defense, that before they think of invading you, they'll think twice. Shall we? Shall we not? Shall we? Shall we not? So many invasions. We look in the last 10 years, 15 years that we've been alive. We don't need to go back right into the past, the 10, 15, 20 years where we've been alive, and many invasions have taken place in many countries. There are certain other countries which they wish that we can invade that as well. But the only thing that's prevented them is that they are nuclear power. If we go there, then one ballistic missile, that nuclear one, is going to come our way. Otherwise, North Korea wouldn't be on the map at this moment in time. But they think twice before going into North Korea. Why? Because they know that it's got a nuclear power now. Russia, etc. Same thing, same situation. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, خُذُوا حِذْرَكُمْ. خُذُوا حِذْرَكُمْ. You need to have your defense. It is very, very important that the Muslim ummah, to safeguard the unity of the ummah, to safeguard the individuals of the ummah, to safeguard the lands of the ummah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that your defense needs to be strong. Your defense needs to be strong, and then you keep peace with everybody. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, keep peace with everybody, that's fine. But for your own safety, you need to ensure that your defense is there as well. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala once again goes back to the main topic, which was regarding women, certain other ahkam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala thereafter finishes the surah on this, and the juz on this, and then the surah carries on a little bit more, and where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses in tomorrow's recitation regarding specific the aqidah and the belief of the Ahlul Kitab, and more specifically the Nasara in belief of Isa alayhi salatu wasalam and the Trinity, etc. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to ensure that our home, domestic life, secondly our social life, and internationally as well, we are all at peace and we live with harmony, compassion, love, mahabba, unity. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring back the days of the ummah where they are basking in their glory, inshallah. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wa sallallahu ta'ala khayr khalq Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. We have a 10-minute break now, inshallah, and we shall commence at 10:30, inshallah. Jazakumullah.